So this question says, it comes from a Betty. Betty says, thank you for the opportunity to ask a question. I run a nursery and primary school business. How do I increase my student enrollment? Business is not easy. In fact, it's very tough. One thing I've found is that when it comes to schools, source, the biggest source of marketing for a school is not billboards, it's not social media, it's not newspapers. The biggest source of marketing for a school is the parents, your existing customers, the parents of your existing children. Because even when I think of how I got to know of the school my kids go to, it's like that. Go and ask around. Any parent that has our kids or has his kids in any school, ask them, why did they decide to send their kids to that school? Within that explanation, within their response, what you're going to hear is how a trusted person, how somebody, could be a neighbor, it could be a friend, it could be a colleague at work, spoke highly of the school or recommended the school. Or maybe the children of somebody I respect or somebody I know went to that school. So that's why we're going to that school. So there's usually a human connection, right? So that's why even when you do ads and billboards, it's not as convincing as a parent recommending your school to another parent. That's the best form of marketing, right? Now, even if that marketing is going to happen, many times it doesn't happen automatically. You may need to let your existing customers, that is the parents that bring their children to your school, you may need to let them know that you're interested in improving or increasing the enrollment, and provide some sort of incentive for parents that recommend your school to other parents. So very simple. If right now you're charging school fees of 100,000 naira per term, and a parent recommends another parent that brings their child to the school, the moment that new child resumes, the person who recommended them should get a discount, like some kind of finder's fee or something. If you introduce a bonus, the parents who are happy having their children in your school will be incentivized to talk about your school to other parents and get them involved, because this thing now is about a power of network. So whether it is that they are talking to their friends or their colleagues or their neighbors, because usually a school is a localized play, right? It's not something that somebody from afar would come all the way to your school. It has to deal with the locality. So if somebody is already coming to your school, getting their neighbors involved or their friends who live within your catchment area, within that locality, can help, right? So you need to provide an incentive for your existing customers to talk about your business, to talk about your school to other parents. The other thing you can do is that you need to find a way to stand out from the plain vanilla that other schools provide. I've talked about this before, but this would be a good time to come back to this issue. Remember what I said before. Parents are very sentimental about the schools that their kids go to because they want something different. They want something better. So what you're starting to see is interesting ways that some schools try to stand apart. Some, for example, will tell you that they offer phonics. What does phonics mean? They're going to teach your kids how to pronounce words better so that they speak with an accent. In an Anglophone country like Nigeria, the accent people are looking at is either the American accent or the British accent. So they now have a teacher or somebody who comes in and teaches phonics. So after some time, your kids start to speak like they are an American child or a British child. And you will not believe it. There are some parents that will take their kids to a school just because of, oh, my neighbor's child speaks so well. I'm sure you can. My neighbor's child speaks so well. And I asked her, what school does your child go to? And that's how I came here. So you need something that can help you stand out. I've just used phonics as an example. Another example could be like digital skills, right? If, for example, one of the things you offer on the side is that children in your school are going to learn digital skills. It may not necessarily be coding. It may be graphic design, something related to a digital skill, right? That can more or less help a parent impress their co-parents, right? My child can do this thing. My child can design. My child can use a computer. My child codes games. My child can build a website. That is a marketing point. That's something that other parents can use to sell. It may not even be with something that they can learn in the class. It can be something like chess, right? Maybe playing chess. It can be martial arts. It can be sports. It can be entrepreneurship. So maybe a child comes in and then they are now talking about, business, and you need to select something that you can offer that other schools don't currently offer. And that becomes your secret recipe. That becomes the unique selling point that parents who currently bring their kids to your school are going to use as a lever to promote your business to other parents. So you need something that can help you stand out in that regard. Another point I need to make is that there are critical windows for improving enrollment in the nursery and primary business, right? Most parents will not pull their kids out of school in the middle of a term. Okay, mic is on. Most parents will not pull their kids out of school in the middle of a term. Typically, the best time to enroll is at the end of a class period. So in Nigeria, for example, that's during the long holiday period. That is when it is most convenient for most parents to change school for their children. They will not want to pull their kids out of school in the middle of a term. That will be disruptive for the child. And it's not just about the education. It can be disruptive in terms of leaving their friends all of a sudden and joining a new class in the middle of the session. So the critical windows you're looking at will be at the end of a term, at the end of first term, second term, ideally during the long holiday. That will be the period when you can turn on the heat on your enrollments, because timing is important in your business. You can sell to a parent and they like your school, they like what you're doing in your school, but the problem is they can't pull out their child now. Their child has already started school. They've already paid school fees somewhere. They've already bought a uniform somewhere. They've already bought books somewhere. So even though they like your school, they cannot pull out. The timing is not right. So you need to make sure you target the timing to be at a time when it is most convenient, when it makes sense for a parent to pull out their child and bring to your school.